These challenges, in our opinion, seem to have overwhelmed our security institutions.
The governors are supposed to be the state security officers of their state.
There is need for us to at least engage the traditional rulers.
We need to do something about our porous borders.
We have to own it from the unit level to the ward level to the local government to state.
Mr. President, the importance of today for us is for us to take action.
Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
All taxable Nigerians declare their income from all sources and pay taxes due to the appropriate authorities.
President Buhari prescribes measures to address revenue shortfall.
It is time to take drastic and desperate measures against the thief.
And Senate expresses fears that crude oil theft may drown Nigeria's economy and urges proactive measures against it. The presentation of the 2023 budget by President Muhammadu Buhari topped events at the National Assembly last week. Highlights of the budget and the presentation make up a major part of our program this week. This, of course, was preceded by the approval of the MTEF FSP recommendations. Details are also contained in this episode. In another story, the Committee on Petroleum Resources had GMD of NNPC Limited before it, where several revelations as well as recommendations were made. Details of this and more in this episode of Inside the Senate. My name is Hussaina Amina Aboki, your anchor. Sit back as I take you through the program after this timeout.
The Senate will send a message to the President
to reap opportunities from that agreement.
Raise a matter of urgent public importance, and we are aware that when this particular motion comes up
for a longer term development, arise to second the motion.
Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Welcome back. President Muhammadu Buhari presented the 2023 budget estimates to a joint session of the National Assembly on Friday, the 7th of October 2022. In the presentation, he noted that revenue shortfall remains a threat to the nation's fiscal viability and spoke on the action adopted to address it.
We have therefore accelerated efforts towards ensuring that all taxable Nigerians declare their income from all sources and pay taxes due to the appropriate authorities. We are also monitoring the internally generated revenue of ministries, departments, and agencies to ensure they are appropriately accounted for and remitted to the Consolidated Revenue Fund.
He also gave a breakdown of the budget as follows. Total budget, 20.51 trillion naira, as against the 19.76 trillion naira recommended earlier on. Capital expenditure, 5.35 trillion naira. Overhead costs stand at 1.1 trillion naira. Non-debt recurrent costs, 8.27 trillion naira. Total federal government operation to result in a deficit of 10.78 trillion naira to be funded through borrowing. He added that the budget is predicated on the following parameters. Exchange rate, 435 naira per dollar. Oil benchmark, $70 per barrel. Oil production, 1.69 million barrels per day. And projection for GDP growth, 3.75%. He expressed delight that the revenue collection and expenditure management reforms being implemented are yielding positive results, with the improvements recorded in non-oil revenue.
However, while we continue to implement revenue administration reforms and improve our collection efficiency, we urgently need to find new ways of generating revenue. As we seek to grow our government revenues, we must also focus on the efficiency of utilization of our limited resources. Critical steps we are taking include immediate implementation of additional measures towards reducing the cost of governance and the discontinuation of fuel subsidy in 2023.
Speaking earlier, Senate President Nat'l said Nigeria is challenged by a dearth of revenues as a result of stealing of 1 million barrels of crude oil daily.
The large-scale and massive stealing of our oil is concerning, as this reduces drastically the revenues available to the government. With conflicting figures, projections have put our losses from this melee at between 700,000 to 900,000 barrels of crude oil per day, leading to about 29 to 35% losses in oil revenue in the first quarter of 2022. This represents an estimated total fall from 1.1 trillion naira recorded in the last quarter of 2021 to 790 billion naira in the first quarter of this year. The situation has worsened. Recently, the loss of our oil has reached 1 million barrels per day. Translated into monetary terms, our loss is monumental and deleterious.
The Senate President disclosed that the figure represents an estimated total revenue fall from 1.1 trillion naira in the last quarter of 2021 to 790 billion naira in the first quarter of 2022. He rated the oil thieves as Nigeria's worst enemies and advocated measures against them as they could bring the economy to its knees.
The thieves have declared war on our country and our people. I strongly feel that we need to take the necessary measures to stop the thieves immediately. Otherwise, our economy will be completely devastated. Also, our efforts to provide the necessary infrastructure and diversification of the economy would both be thwarted. It is time to take drastic and desperate measures against the thieves. The situation becomes more unfortunate if we factor in the budget deficit estimated at 7 trillion naira and the green prospect of its increase to about 11.3 trillion naira as presented in the 2023-2025 medium-term expenditure framework fiscal strategy paper.
Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila gave the vote of thanks.
Today's presentation is historic because it is the last such presentation by President Muhammadu Buhari. It is also the last time the 9th Assembly will convene to receive the President for this purpose. I assure you the National Assembly will prioritize this bill and ensure it is passed before the end of the year, as is the practice of the 9th Assembly.
Some senators had this to say about the budget.
The challenge we are having is revenue. So government needs to look at the revenue base of the nation.
This budget, we will discuss it as soon as by next week, and hope to complete the budget process from our side before the end of November, possibly early December, so that the President can sign the budget.
When you talk about generating revenue, you have to also talk about services the government is rendering to the citizen. Those people that will pay that revenue, are you giving them the basic amenities that will put their businesses in such a manner that they can make profit and pay government revenue?
The oil theft, that is a major organized crime. If the 2023 budget is going to work, and if the administration that will take over from him is going to succeed, that must be addressed. But it has to start with this administration.
As a prelude to the presentation of the budget earlier Wednesday, the 5th of October 2022, the report of the Committee on Finance on the 2023-2025 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework MTEF and Fiscal Strategy Paper FSP was presented by the Chairman, Senate Committee on Finance. The Chairman, Senator Solomon Olamilekan, in the report sought Senate approval of the following forecasted recommendations of the committee. Daily crude oil production, 1.69 million barrels per day for 2023, 1.83 million barrels per day for 2024, and 1.8 million barrels per day for 2025. Crude oil price, $73 per barrel. Exchange rate, 437.57 naira per dollar. Projected GDP growth rate, 3.75%. Projected inflation rate, 17.16%. Projected new borrowings of 8.437 trillion naira, foreign and domestic. He then spoke on the consideration that led to the forecast.
The forecast consider the heightened level of uncertainty resulting from a variety of factors, including the Russia full-scale invasion of Ukraine, the volume and the timing of the new crude oil production, and the impact of the coordinated release of petroleum supply from the strategy reserves in the United States and in Europe.
After debating the recommendations, they were considered and eventually approved. For other events at plenary last week, let's take a report as presented from our studio.
Mr. President, I have the information. Reliable information.
Deputy Senate Leader Senator Ajayi Borofis, under personal explanation on Tuesday, the 4th of October 2022, commended President Muhammadu Buhari for recognizing the leadership qualities of the Senate President and according national awards to him alongside 11 other senators.
I want to thank President Buhari for making this award. And I believe that it is in recognition of the contribution of this Senate to national development and stability of government.
In his reaction, Senator Ahmed Lawan dedicated the award to all his colleagues.
No one individual person, senator, can achieve anything without the others supporting, assisting. We congratulate the entire Senate for this, and I believe that you've said the momentum with which we have been doing our work will not be slowed down. We will continue up to the end of this tenure, when by the 11th of June next year, the life of this 9th Senate will come to an end, and our colleagues who will be coming back will now learn from our mistakes and do far better than the 9th Senate.
The Senate, same day, considered a motion seeking the reclamation and protection of shoreline devastated by coastal erosion in some parts of Bayelsa State. The shoreline is a piece of land on the fringe of an ocean. The motion, which was sponsored by Senator Degi Eremion, was titled Urgent Need to Reclaim and Protect Shorelines at Anyama, Tuombras, Odiama, and Sangana communities of Bayelsa State. He spoke further on the debilitating effects of the menace.
The menace has currently created serious ecological disaster and untold social and economic hardship to people of the aforementioned communities, as their homes, farmlands, economic trees, vital government establishments such as roads, schools, churches, SME coastal industries, and other critical infrastructures are being washed away.
Senators reported similar problems in their areas.
The kind of geography that he has in his place is exactly the same with what I have in my environment there in Delta State.
All the communities, all the houses of people bordering River Anambra have been submerged, and our people are known for rice cultivation. All the rice fields by the shore, by the border, by the coastal communities in that place, of 4 Igala-speaking communities in my area, they are all submerged.
As a result, the resolutions adopted was to urge the Ministries of Environment and Niger Delta, as well as Ecological Fund Office and Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC), to urgently initiate and execute shoreline reclamation and protection projects in the affected areas.
These were reports from Senate plenary. We will now take a short break for the notebook segment. Don't go away.
A legislative Hansard is the transcript of the daily legislative proceeding of a parliament, particularly within Britain and other Commonwealth countries. It is named after Thomas Curzon Hansard, the first official printer of the British Parliament. In the Nigerian Senate, it is produced verbatim by the official reporters of the Senate, who are positioned in the chamber to monitor legislative proceedings. One of the basic advantages of the Hansard is that it helps in the recording of legislative documents as well as archiving. And because chamber proceedings are in most cases open to the public, the Hansard affords the lawmakers the opportunity to assess their past contributions on the floor, with a view to improving on them, among other things.
Welcome back. You will recall that an interactive session between the Joint Committee on Petroleum alongside other stakeholders slated for Wednesday the 28th of September 2022 to rub minds on the challenges facing the oil sector ended midway due to the absence of some key stakeholders. The committee reconvened again on Tuesday the 4th of October 2022 where it interacted with key stakeholders. Let's get a report of this meeting in our next report compiled and presented from our studio.
We have put up a structure of security.
The Group Managing Director of NNPC, Mr. Mele Kyari, was at the meeting where he revealed that one of the major problems facing the oil sector, oil theft, has been going on now for over 20 years, but the magnitude it has attained of recent is scary. He gave the reasons for its escalation recently.
Prices of crude oil is so high in the market today that there is every incentive for oil thieves to operate. And it is not just the ordinary illegal refineries that we see, or some of the connections that you see. Now we are seeing in a scale that is of proportion that clearly is going to explode. And I will explain this, Mr. Chairman. This is what we are dealing with. And it's enormous. And I've invited some of the committees to go and have a direct view of what is really happening and the interventions that is going on.
In addition to oil theft, he disclosed that oil production has declined from 1.68 million barrels per day in January 2021 down to 1.22 million barrels per day currently, blaming it on insecurity leading to gradual underinvestment, inability of the NNPC to clamp on spilled sites along the pipeline in Bodo community of Rivers State flowing now for 6 weeks and leading to the loss of 120,000 barrels of crude per day, as well as smuggling. The committee chairman, in a reaction, blamed smuggling on cheap petrol in Nigeria as a result of subsidy regime.
Why don't you liaise with relevant authorities and try and bring this subsidy issue, at par with neighboring countries? Because if you can buy a liter of petrol in Cameroon at 300 naira, you should be able to buy it at 280 naira in Nigeria.
Members also raised the issue of crude oil theft in Nigeria and the way to solve it.
The volume of crude oil theft in this country, I have been told that is the highest in the world. To the extent that today, as we speak, the country is in real trouble.
It's either we take a position at the National Assembly and make all theft a capital offense.
At the end, the committee promised to increase the frequency of interactions like this for the benefit of the whole nation.
We have a list of stakeholders that are going to present.
In another committee room, the Senate Committee on Science, Technology and Innovation held a public hearing on Tuesday, the 4th of October 2022 to consider the National Innovation Agency Establishment Bill 2022. Declaring the hearing open, the Senate President, represented by the Minority Leader of the Senate, Senator Philip Aduda, said that technology has practically replaced all methods of doing things, and this will continue because of the ease it has brought to mankind.
Setting up this agency depends on other factors including cost, chances of success, and defining an overreaching philosophy in relation to other agencies of government, amongst other issues.
In a welcome address, the committee chairman, Senator Uche Ekunife, disclosed why she sponsored the bill.
I personally sponsored this bill, which seeks to establish the National Innovation Agency to facilitate the development, improvement, promotion, coordination, exploitation, commercialization, and regulation of research outputs, discoveries, innovation and invention for purposes of entrenching research and innovation into the center stage of our economic development system.
In conveying his disapproval for the bill, the Minister of Science and Technology, Senator Olarunibe Mamora, opined that existing agencies should be empowered to perform the tasks being proposed for the new agency.
Much as the bill is well-intentioned, we must look at the realities in terms of the capacity, the ability to fund these agencies. So this essentially is the reason why, in our own considered view and opinion as a ministry, with all due respect to your good intentions, we believe that whatever gaps that have been identified can be managed within the ambit of the existing agencies.
Stakeholders took over with their submissions.
Contrary, with all due respect to what the Honorable Minister said, looking at the powers of the Council, rather, some other agencies can be collapsed into this agency and the Council.
In a short while, our role is to appreciate the Senate Committee on Science and Technology and the Senate of the Nigerian Senate as a whole for the idea of the agency and for bringing it very close to us and bringing it to our community.
The chairman commented.
We're talking about workable agency, an agency, of course, that can assist this country in moving away from being a consumption country to a production country. That's what we're looking at. It's not just that we don't know that we're going to have some overlap functions, yes, but of course we need a legal backing to where you have to commercialize your results, you have to attract international funding and so many of that. We're also looking at taking our youths into production line skilled.
At the end, the committee promised to compile a report on the hearing for presentation to Senate's plenary for more legislative action.
Those were highlights of events from our committee rooms. Our profile segment is next. Stand by for our Senator of the Week.
Senator Ahmad Babba Keita represents Katsina North Senatorial District, first under APC before the campaign to PDP in June 2022. After Quranic education under the supervision of his father, he attended Sada Primary School, Kankia in Katsina State for his first school leaving certificate in 1980 and Kufena College Zaria for his West African School certificate in 1985. At the tertiary level, he attended ABU Zaria for a Bachelor of Science degree in Sociology in 1992. After national service in Port Harcourt, Senator Ahmad Babba Keita worked with Splendid International Company for 15 years, rising to the position of Managing Director as well as Everglade Agencies Limited. Senator Ahmad Babba Keita joined politics and was elected to the House of Representatives, where he represented Kankia Ingawa Kusada Federal Constituency from 2011 to 2015 under CPC, which later became APC. He was re-elected in the 2015 general elections, but while in the House, he contested and won a by-election to the Senate in 2018 to replace Senator Mustafa Bukar, who died in April of the same year. Senator Ahmad Babba Keita is the chairman, Senate Committee on Tertiary Education and TED Fund, and a member of several other committees. His legislative interests include security, education, and agricultural development.
With this, we come to the end of this week's package of Inside the Senate. Be with us next week for another edition, and thanks for watching.